Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Wee Bit Feart Podcast. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, a good friend of mine and a fellow horror game streamer, Mr. Undead. So we're going to be discussing all kinds of stuff, horror streaming, some of our favourite games from this year, some of the worst games of this year, and just some funny moments we've had along the way. We can call them learning experiences. So, I'm just going to dive right into the footage. I hope you enjoy it. Please.
Are we recording now?
Yes, I've just started recording, so don't say fuck or bugger.
Okay.
You can fucking say anything you like, man.
Good.
So, thanks for joining me today for this episode of the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
You're probably one of the top 3 most handsome guys that I've ever had on this podcast.
Well, I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Good stuff, man.
It's good because we have a good knowledge of indie games, AAA games. Like, we have good experience in both aspects, and we're not worried to take on, weird, obscure titles at the same time. Not worried to get or like to be scared, because a lot of people when they start gaming or start in the horror series, they go for like Outlast, they go for the real, now that I've dove into it, like the really big titles. Outlast is a ambitious game if you're going to start, and Visage is a ambitious game to start with. And a lot of people do.
Fucking, I don't know how people can just go straight into Visage, man. It's fucking nightmare fuel.
It's intense. Yeah, it's intense. And it's not because they're hitting you with scares constantly. I think it's the intense quiet, the ambiance of being in the hallway, kind of similar to PT. Like, if you see footage of PT and side by side with Visage, you're going to be like, is this the same game? But it's not. It's very complementary to that. And a lot of games have that. A lot of Unity games do that.
Yeah, I feel like recently there's been a lot of games that have been inspired by the sort of the PT thing, but they don't really pull it off too well. But there's some like really good fucking games that are not well known usually, and they're like the best ones. They've done it the best. It's like, as you say, it's the fucking the ambience, like that, the noises, the sound is just fucking terrifying, man.
Yeah, in gaming, sound design is super important, and often when people review it, it's kind of overlooked because you have so much, like anything from creaks in the floor to like, doors opening, swinging, whatever, knocks, stuff like that. Like, very in like a sound that you want it as immersive as possible, I think, in a game. And any sound design that brings you out of the immersion, it loses all horror. You know what I mean? It loses that scare factor.
Yeah. I was looking at some games to put on the list that we've both played, and we've played a fucking shitload of games together, man.
Yeah.
Like the same games.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat now.
Probably my favourite game that the both of us have played has been The Dark Occult. Like, that was a game I had never heard of that before, and you started streaming it and you told me to play it, and I was like fucking hooked on this game. It's so long, it's so good, like there's so many different things, puzzles and like being chased sometimes. It's just a fantastic game.
The interesting thing about that game, and what I constantly talk about on stream, is the fact that it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like, the unpredictable factor is like one of the best things you could add in a horror game, where it's like, if I open this door, if I go in this room for too long, is something gonna happen? Like, I think that's the draw with like Five Nights at Freddy's, even though, like, I think we're both in agreement on that game is a special, it's got its own fan base.
Yeah.
It's not the same horror fan base that would like, it could be, but I'm just it's not the same as like a dark occult where you are literally in a haunted house trying to figure out what's going on. Like
Yeah.
exploring each room, like running away, solving puzzles. Like it's intense all the time because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I think that's like something that we both really like about the kind of like horror games is that exploration, not knowing what's going to happen. Like we're not really the type of guys that can sit and play like a click and play game, if that's what it's called, a point and click. Like we much prefer that kind of exploration. Don't know what's going to be on the other side of this door. Fucking shit your pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's a game that I put off for a long time that I ended up streaming recently, which is House on the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
That game, like, I was avoiding it without knowing I was avoiding it because, like, I saw previews of it and I'm like, there's so much in this that could happen that I'm like, I'm really apprehensive. Like, I love games that, like, I'm apprehensive to play because I know it's going to be intense. Mm-hmm. And that game was intense. It was fun though. It was a really good game.
I'll need to play that, man. Like I streamed it one day, and I thought that I'd got quite far in it, but it turns out I haven't really. I've only just kind of got started, so I might have to look back and play that one again.
Yeah, that one has 4 parts, I believe, if I remember correctly. So you play it from 4. Well, it's like 4 universes that explore the same house, and it's the same person, but it's kind of weird. It's unique, and that's kind of the draw in that one.
Mm-hmm. I had a good vibe, like a pretty good vibe there, but then I think like Phasmophobia came out as well, and I was just like, bam, fucking Phasmophobia every day, all the time. So I left.
See, that's another conversation. That's one thing that we might have somewhat differing opinion on.
Yeah.
Because like I like Phasmophobia. I do like it. I think it's very well done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got replayability, but I think for me, it's limited right now only for the fact that I could see so much potential in it, and it's a great game, but I don't see myself spending like a ton of time in it. But
yeah,
it's still good. It's still good.
I was like, I discussed this a wee bit with Ryan. It was like the game that I always kind of wanted, where you're actually going into like haunted places, try to figure out what the things are. But and like to start with, it was fantastic. I loved it. I was terrified every time. But now it's like I'm just playing it just to kind of speedrun it and get money, and I'm not too scared about it anymore. And I think he just like released it the wrong way. Like you should have kind of drip fed it out, drip fed the maps or the different types of like demons and stuff, the ghosts, because it was just like, right, here you go, here's everything, that's you, and we got nothing for like months, and eventually we got a new map, and it's a 4-player map, and then it's like, if you don't have friends to play with, or if you're on different time schedules and that for your friends, and it's kind of hard to play the new content and stuff. So it's kind of like I haven't played it for about 3 or 4 weeks now, so I get that. I loved it a wee bit longer than you did, I think, but now I'm kind of at that place where I'm like, nah, I'm done with this now.
Yeah, I think all those games like Hunt Showdown, Dead by Daylight, Phasmophobia get to a certain, like, I think that's the thing with the horror genre is that it gets to a certain point and then it just becomes like busy work. It's not like well, Hunt Showdown has gotten a little better at that. It's kind of like gone in the reverse of like Dead by Daylight. Well, it's kind of hard to say. I think Phasmophobia should take a page out of the book of Hunt Showdown and Dead by Daylight, where they do add in, like, trickle in new cool things. Like, Hunt Showdown's done a crazy good job at adding new stuff to kill, new weapons to use, new hunters to use, like stuff like that. Like, they're finding ways to innovate the horror genre. Like, multiplayer horror is, I mean, it's pretty simple. You either get zombies or like crazy infected things, but it's like very simple You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, they need to do something with that. Like, I think actually, there's only one other game that I think has done a good job with expanding that multiplayer aspect, and that is Remnant from the Ashes. Like, or is that what it's called? Let me double check.
I'm
That's right.
sure. I haven't.
Remnant, Remnant from the Ashes.
Right.
That game, it's kind of like an MMO shooter style.
Right.
It's a horror kind of game, but it's got like tree creatures that are infected, which is it's unique,
Aye.
semi-unique.
For sure, man.
So
I was I was looking at some of the games that are coming up soon, and there's a lot of like vampire and werewolf things starting to come through. So we might kind of see that switch from like zombies to other kind of creatures. But like, I want to see something new, something fucking brand new, never seen before. I'm sure we discussed this before in the Discord, the Hunt You Tau Discord before. Like, what about a guy who just has like dicks for arms and legs, and then a wee heat, and like if he gets you, he makes use of your orifices. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking scary.
yeah, I mean, developers they're always out there trying new things. Like I think the same company that made there's I don't know if it's Infliction but they have that really it's like a red band game. I can't remember what it's called, but you can't even stream it on
Oh,
Twitch. It's like
is it not called like
yeah,
lust for something?
yes, that's what it's called. It's like Lust something or other,
Aye.
and it's like
Even
yes,
the
that's
screenshots on Steam, you can't even fucking show them on your stream, man. They're
no.
like fucking, oh shit, man. Fucking hell.
But it's funny because you look at like the Carpenter films or like stuff in the 60s 70s like film wise, you know, like they weren't they weren't scared to show nudity. They weren't scared to show someone getting murdered in that way. And it's like I think with gaming you have too much like variety of people playing it that it's hard to
Aye.
say like, hey, you know, this is intense. This is the type of theming that we're gonna do,
Yeah.
you know, and it's hard to get people to back that, like to really like, yes, we should make this game. Yes, we should make it intense. And I think that's the thing I have with like certain developers. It's like, let's make something that's intense all the time for all those horror fans that are like, we
Yeah.
want more, you know. Like Visage, like people went crazy for it because it's intense like almost all the time
Yeah.
and difficult.
Aye, well, that's it as well.
So
Like if it has like puzzle, like if a game doesn't tell you what to do and just leaves you on your own, like that's the best kind of game as well. Because like if it just holds your hand all the way through it, it's not as scary. So I like that. Like
yeah, and there's
Infliction, we both played Infliction. I think it's Infliction that I'm talking about, and it was just kind of like just go explore this house, and then this thing will lead you to here and here. It doesn't ever tell you what to do though, and it was pretty fucking creepy vibes.
yeah, I think, and that's one that I really enjoyed this year or in 2020 was Infliction. Infliction surprised me a lot because it had actually it's so surprising. Last time I played it was August, but I still remember it pretty vividly.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, you played it twice through, I believe, and both times I think the scare points were pretty valid. They still were scary. The puzzles were still difficult. I think it's hard to get a game that's like perfectly balanced, and I'd say for an indie developed one, that one is pretty balanced.
yeah,
Like there was nothing left of that one. Like once you were done, you're like, I'm pretty much done with this game. Like, uh, kinda, you know, the extended cut made you want to play it more, you know,
aye. Like
after.
the extended cut was the reason why I played it again on stream, but I don't actually remember there being anything much different apart from just like there was like more extras that you could go through and that kind of stuff. There wasn't really more to the story, I don't think. But even playing it the second time, knowing everything that I already knew, it was still fucking still pretty scary and still good, and we still got stuck at some parts. So they did really well.
Yeah,
with that.
it's also playing to my weakness in horror, which is like a woman in white with dark black hair like The Ring or The Grudge will always be scary to me. I don't know why. It just will always be scary. Like Fear, like the game Fear, like or Pacify, like all playing on the same like style, you know. Or even like some of the Chinese and Japanese titles, like Paper Dolls that I just started. Like it's kind of all the same person, but it's fucking intense. Like I love it and hate it at the same time because it will always get me. It'll always scare me.
I've like recently bought quite a few games in the Steam. Like I think everybody did bought quite a few games in the winter sale, and there's some like Chinese games that I've got, like Paranormal Hong Kong and stuff, and I'm just like, I'm terrified to play them because I know it's going to be creepy ladies or creepy wee girls, like school girls and stuff, and it's just going to be terrifying, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many of those titles that I haven't picked up yet. A lot of them too, like they're done in a retro way where they kind of emulate like PS1 style or PS2 style.
Yeah.
And it's still creepy just like looking at the cover or like store page or like looking like it has the atmosphere down. That's what I'll say. The character to character interactions might need work, or like the items and like puzzles might need work, but the overall feel of it is like I shouldn't even be in this game right now.
Yeah, man.
They do a good job in that way. So what do you think your breakout like title of the year is that you're just like, I can't imagine what, you know, or like what's your favorite for this year that you played?
I know I say this like every time I'm streaming, every podcast episode, anytime somebody asks what game they should play, but it's got to be Visage for me. And technically it came out in 2018 and like the beta and stuff, but then it officially released this year, so I'm counting that as a 2020 release. And it's just perfect, man. It's just, I've played it so many times, like I've got so much hours in it, more hours in that game than I have any other horror game, and it just terrifies me every time. It's just so fucking exciting. But like if it wasn't for Visage, probably the Dark Occult, because it went on for quite a long time as well. Like I wasn't expecting that amount of content to be in there, but I feel like it took me quite a lot of streams to actually get through it and finish it.
I think I counted, it was like 8 or so streams that I was streaming it, and you streamed it to the end. Yeah. And there was I think there were 2 streams that I was just stuck the entire time. Yeah. Like but the Dark Occult, so to be fair, I haven't played Visage all the way through. I've mostly seen playthroughs, but even a little bit that I've played, it's been impressive to me. Another thing is that, Visage counts as a release for this year because they also came out with a new episode.
Yeah.
Or a new piece.
Yep.
So, and you have a lot of experience with Evil Within. So I know you have a lot of hours in Evil Within. So to say that, how would you compare those two? Like, would you be able to compare them to, like, at least in the scare factor? Like, do you feel like Evil Within had a different type of scare tactic than Visage? It did, but what's your opinion on that?
Like, with the Evil Within, I feel like the scare factor was more a fear of, like, dying, or a fear of, like, dying, like, losing your shit, because there was a lot of, like, boss battles, or, like, big mobs, like, they're no zombies, but those kind of zombie creatures, and it was, plus you had, like, guns and stuff. But I'm pretty confident when it comes to, like, shooting games. And I think because I've got quite a good confidence with shooting in horror games, that it's not as scary as such. Whereas if you just put me in a haunted house with nothing, just a flashlight, then that's fucking terrifying for me, because there's nothing I can do about that. I can't run, like I can't shoot back, I can't fight back. I just have to run and hide. But the Evil Within was really well made. I played the first one 3 times. I played it on PlayStation and then I played it twice again on PC. But I wasn't too keen on the second one. I preferred the first one, even though it was kind of janky. I much preferred the first one. What about yourself?
So, like, I haven't played Evil Within as far as, like, I can't compare the scares, but I can compare the scares to Resident Evil 7, which is a shooter kind of in the same realm as Evil Within.
Yep.
And being one of the first, like, first-person horror games, or Resident Evil games, I'd say, like Resident Evil 7 and Visage both are battling in my mind. Like, they're both insanely scary at times. Like, seeing the dad blow through the wall, like, scared me so... I was not expecting it. I was, like, walking by, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I have the scare. It's, like, clipped.
Yeah. Well,
it's one of the scariest things I've seen. Or, like, him, like, going around the house while you're trying to figure out how to get to the next portion. Like, that is intense, because it's so it's always the unpredictable. Like, it doesn't have to be a, like, set jump scare, but just knowing that someone is, you know, like, you know, just walking around waiting for you, like, that's intense.
Aye, like that Resident Evil 7 was fantastic. It was so kind of unexpected, because all the other Resident Evil games had been like the third person walk around. Like, this one was totally different. It was like a totally different game. It wasn't even like Resident Evil people that had made it. It was insane. And it's like, I've always kind of said, like, that's my favourite game. Like, that isn't like a... Like, Visage is like, there's no much to it, it's just kind of in the devs. Explore this house, that's really scary, that's my favourite one. But when it comes to, like, AAA sort of horror, Resident Evil 7 was just fantastic. Again, like, I've played that 3 or 4 times on different platforms, and if one of you guys start streaming it, I'm like, oh shit, I need to watch this, see how they do, see how they compare to, like, my run throughs and stuff. And, like, this Resident Evil 8 that's coming out this year is the same universe. It's going to be first person again, and I'm so excited for this game.
I'm really, really stoked for Resident Evil 8, and I mean, it's leaked stuff at this point, so it's not even, like, official release from the developer, but seeing some of the artwork, it's very Bloodborne-esque, where it's kind of like the dark, like, clerical type, like, feeling, which I think horror needs more of that, because you saw the reception of Bloodborne in like the old-timey, like, look and feel of it. It sold consoles. Like, Bloodborne is a great game, so if Resident Evil can tap into that and also expand their monster base, like, when you see something Resident Evil, you kind of think zombies, infected, like, weird mutant creatures, right?
Yeah.
If you can expand that out to have, like, weird mutant clerical things, like little, like, priests or, like, vendors or stuff, like, because it's a village, right? So if they expand on that, like a crazy butcher or something, like, it'd be cool to see that happen.
I think, like, in the first trailer, when they first kind of released it, they showed, like, a few different kind of stuff, like something that looked like a werewolf maybe, and then there was also the ladies as well that all had like the old-fashioned dresses and stuff on, but then they had, like, I don't know if they had the masks on or they just had fucked up faces, and so it's kind of like, this is exciting to see where they go and see how they can make it different. Have you ever played Resident Evil 4? Was it 4?
I haven't played Resident Evil 4.
Because that was like a Spanish village that they were in, and then all this other kind of weird cult stuff happens. And because this one's like the village, and there's a character in it as well, which is similar to Resident Evil 4. So I'm kind of feeling like this is a more modern version of Resident Evil 4. but it's a different universe, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's a new opportunity to explore expand their universe, really.
Yeah.
Like some of these new or some of these AAA titles really need to well, obviously like games like Cyberpunk have been disappointing, stuff like that, where they say they're revolutionary. So it'd be nice to see Resident Evil take the opportunity to create something new and fresh for their own, like they did with 7, because 7 was a fresh vibe. It was really good.
Yeah.
So, and was that released this year in 2020, or was it released in 19?
I think it was 18, because they brought out Resi 3 remake this year, Resi 2 last year, and then Resi 7 the year before, I think.
Have you played the remakes, the Resident Evil remakes?
Yeah, I played both of them. I streamed both of them, but like when I look at my Steam library, one of them I have like less than 10 hours, like 6 hours or something, and the other one has like 20 hours in it. So clearly one of them, I completed both of them, so one of them must have been quite shit if I've only played it 6 hours or something, you know, and completed it, and the other one's got like 20. But they were like good, but at the end of the day it's just remakes, so it's like if you've already played the games before, or there's nothing new to expect. You already know who the bad guy's going to be, you already know the storyline. It's just kind of
breathing some new life. Yeah, like just reinventing it in a way. But yeah, definitely. So what was the absolute worst game that you played this year?
Worst game
that's released this year that you think? It's hard to find because we play so many and they release at certain times, so it's hard to say which is like a 2020 release.
I don't know if Escape the Iowaki came out in 2020, but if it did, then fucking that game. Because fucking me, man, a fucking Michael Jackson simulator. Fuck off. I can't believe that shit. I can't believe my friend made me fucking buy that game and didn't tell me about it. I can't believe I didn't see it. Like, I didn't realise when I was saying it out loud. I said it out loud so many fucking times and I didn't. Disaster, man. It might actually be a good game. It might be fucking fantastic, but I don't know because I'll never fucking play it again.
Yeah.
What about you?
Exactly. I'd say the important thing for like an indie developer is to make sure you captivate the audience from the beginning. Like, you have to have some sort of draw. If there's no draw, there's no point in playing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it may get good later, but I'm not going to wait till later. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sacrifice my time. Like, there's way more out there, you know? And there were some surprising hits for me that I really liked, like Dark, like, which is like a side puzzler / like weird, like perception changing type game. And it was one of those ones where I don't think people were necessarily interested in watching, but I do think that people should give it a try as far as like if they like puzzle games with horror themes, because it's not scary. It's just the developer took a lot of time in these puzzles, and they're not too hard, but they're not too easy either. Like, there's some skill involved as well. It's not like putting something here and like you have to actually like make the moves to make it happen. So if you haven't played it yet, I think Dark is a good one to like either play off stream, or if it's one of those nights that you're like, I don't feel like shitting my pants tonight. Like, it's one of those ones. Yeah. Like, I do have those nights too. As a horror streamer, you have to have those nights where you're like, I don't want to like worry what's around every corner. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just need those nights.
Absolutely, man. Like, there's some days where I'm just like, right, freak me the fuck out, make me see the devil tonight, and then there's other times you're just like, please, I just want a break. I just want to chill out and just play something nice and easy. Probably the games that we think are nice and easy will still be fucking terrifying to most people, but I think we've kind of like got a tolerance now because we've played so much.
Yeah, to be fair, if something is loud and comes out of nowhere unexpectedly, I'm going to jump. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's a chill game, if it's just a loud slamming of a hammer on the table, like, I'm gonna jump. It's just one of those things. Like, loud, surprising noises will always surprise me, you know? But, like, I think there's another thing in horror games, like Layers of Fear, like what they do with changing and transitions of scenes.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, in Layers of Fear, you remember when you're like, you walk in through the door, you get to the easel, and then you walk out of the easel room once you're done looking in there, and it changes completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like those type of transitions impress me. As they're impressive as well as entertaining. Like, to see, like, I don't know what's going to happen behind this door. I don't know if I'm going to be in another room, or like, I do see like a lot of people using that type of device to drive their game forward, and it's really cool. Like, I would like to see that more.
Yeah, like that game that you recommended to me, Locked Up, like that had the same kind of vibe to it. It was like you go for a room, go to a different room, come back, and the room's changed. Something's different. Sometimes you don't expect it, and you think this is just the same, and then fucking bam, there's somebody there, or it's fucking. It's like you're not even doing it. You're just walking back and then forward again, and the whole game's just changed. The whole scenery. It's a really cool style.
I think it emulates a lot of things that happen in, like, I mean, you see it in YouTube videos and in real life. Like, if you've ever explored anywhere haunted or seen people explore somewhere that's haunted, the thing that is the most creepy is when you leave a room, you come back, and something has changed and you don't know what it is, or you see something that's not supposed to be there, and you're like, that needs to be encompassed more. I think it's one of those things where it'll always be scary. Like,
there's
where you're like,
a film, like it's one of the Paranormal Activity films. I don't know if you've seen all of them, but there's like a moment, and it's like they have like a camera set up on a fan, so the fan like goes left to right sort of thing, and it does it like 3 times, and it like, so it goes from like kitchen to living room, kitchen, living room, and one time it goes back into the kitchen, and the woman walks from the living room to the kitchen and stands there, and she's kind of like, what the fuck, something's going on, and you yourself, you're like, what's changed, what's different, and then boom, everything falls through the ceiling, and it's like the table, the chairs, the fucking kettle, the cutlery, everything has been up on the roof, and you don't even notice it to start with. You're like, something's different here, and then just everything falls, and it's such a fucking terrifying moment. And when they do that in games and stuff as well, like a lot of times you'll see maybe games with like tables or chairs, you'll go out, come back in, and all the chairs will be stacked up on top of each other, or something like that, and you're just like, what the fuck's going on, man? It's such a good horror vibe.
that's a good segue into a couple of topics that I was thinking about right now. Was the scene in Visage where the appliances start talking.
Yeah,
like stuff like that. Like, it's so like fourth wall, like, breaking, that it does give you a tiny break from the intensity of it, where it's like, even the dialogue was hilarious in that scene. Like so fun. It's awesome when devs do that, because it shows another dimension to it, where they're like, we're not just creating something, super serious, it's got that little funny tone to it.
Yeah, Visage had
Which
a lot of things.
I think Resident Evil does it as well in the third part with the with the son, or the brother, or the son, whatever. His section alone is like a meme section, like, so fun. Glad I was very happy that they put that in.
That's one of the things that was in Resident Evil 2 and 3 is like, when you go into a subway, or you go into like a different building, and there'll be posters on the wall, and they're basically like rip-off, spin-off posters of real horror movies and stuff, and the artwork on them is fucking fantastic. Like I saved a couple of screenshots. I'll need to try and find them, and it's just like they're taking the piss out of like horror films that are out in real life, but they've just put their own spin on it, and it was like it takes you out a wee bit and gives you a wee bit of a laugh whilst you're trying to not shit your pants, and it's good when they do that in games.
Yeah, it's a little nice break.
Yeah.
But I mean, even with some of the Easter eggs with Visage, which I don't want to spoil them in this, but there's some really funny ones in Visage. They put some good stuff in there for you to find.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've experienced some of them yourself, so
Yeah, man.
that was fun to see.
Some of the Easter eggs are like so long and so fun that they could just be their own fucking wee chapter on their own. You know what I mean? It was pretty. They did that game so good, man.
Another game I was looking at that's in my library that I played back in August was Made of Skur, which did come out in 2020.
Tell me about that, because that was one that I've never played it before, and I kind of looked at it and then I never went back to go and buy it. So, what's your thoughts?
So, Made of Skur is set in the UK and Wales, I'm pretty sure, and it's by a Welsh company. So, I mean, I'd say the overall feel of authenticity is there with the whole history and the story and the location. Like, everything is accurate as far as that goes. And it's unique because obviously I don't know anything about it because I'm from the US. So like experiencing it in that way is cool because it's horror based, but yeah. I would say the trailer kind of oversells it in the way of the actual scares,
right?
And some of the movement pieces and some of the actual gameplay. So like it runs off of the dynamic that all the enemies are deaf or blind. Sorry, not deaf. They can actually hear better. So it's all, you have to be as silent as you can, and you have to be stealthy and stuff like that. Which in this game, it takes out you always see the enemy, like you always see them. They're always around walking and stuff like that, which kind of takes the scariness out of it.
Right.
But as far as depth, lighting, sound design, it's all really good. I think I was only disappointed with the scare element. Right. So I would say if you're looking for a game, and especially by like Wales Interactive, which is an indie developer on their own, and they do some other cool horror titles. I think they also make Don't Knock Twice, I want to say. I could be wrong. But yeah, it was tough for me to pick it up again, only because I was looking for more things that, if I was going to play a game like that, I do want intense scares, like The Dark Occult, because it's kind of similar in that way.
Yeah. I think we need a brand new super fucking spooky game this year. Like, sometimes we do find like wee indie gems that are fantastic you never expect, but I also think we find a lot of fucking shit games, and so I think we just need one new one that's just fucking insane.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I've had plenty that I'm just like, I am never playing this game again. Like, and it's not because necessarily they're like bad games, but I'm just like, there's other games I could try out there. Like, there's a game, it's a Lovecraftian game. I think it's called, let's see, it's like it's Canarium. I've heard people like that. Like, there are people that enjoy that game, and it's a Lovecraftian style. It wasn't released in 2020, but it's just one of those games that does drop you in, tells you nothing, and it doesn't. There's no like hint of progression anywhere. Like, you just kind of like run around this labyrinth underneath the ground trying to find out what to do. I mean, even the base story doesn't give you much to work off of.
Mm-hmm.
But there are games like that. I mean, there are games that people like from this year that I don't agree with, like Doki Doki Literature Club. But again, it's one of those genres that I'm not. It's not my cup of tea. You know, it's a visual novel or whatever they consider it, and it's just a bunch of reading.
I don't get that, man. Like that's no for me either. I don't get that. Like the interactive reading horror games, it's weird, man.
Yeah, like obviously we're kind of in the same realm of first person exploration, puzzly survival style. I mean, I'm kind of more into the little side scroller, like complex puzzly ones, like Iris Fall, which frustrated me like crazy, but it's a great game. It's really good, and like Dark is really good, and Little Nightmares, which I know you said that you passed on after a little bit.
Yeah, it's
But Little Nightmares is another title that is good.
It's like it's good. I really like the art style and stuff like that, but it's so frustrating for me. I don't know, maybe just if I relax and use a controller, maybe just kind of be like, hey, it's okay, it's good, it's fine to lose and get set back a wee bit, but it just it infuriates me, and so it's kind of hard to stream it when I'm getting angry at the same time. But
yeah, no, and I think that happened to me recently with Iris Fall. Like, those puzzles are so difficult. I just found myself like zoning into the puzzle and not even interacting with chat, just like sitting there, just like literally like, what the fuck do I do? like, like, how do I figure this out? It's one of those ones where like you can't help it. You're just like, I want to get progression. At the same time, I don't want people to be frustrated, but at the same time, I want to throw my mouse across the room.
Well.
So,
what about, did you play, is it Carry On? The one that's like you're a weird blood monster that just, it's like you Spider-Man everywhere.
I did play that game. It was oddly satisfying being the monster for once, like running around. Well, you do in Dead by Daylight, but it's like that times two, where you're like, I literally am the monster. Like, I am running this shit. You know, it's amazing. Like, it's an amazing feeling. Like, it's cool because you go through these like weird dynamic levels where they like, it's weird crevices that you could hide in, and you're like jumping after people, like eating them, like throwing their bodies, like ragdolling their bodies. It has a cool ragdoll effect in the game. You throw them around and like you eat them to get life, so it's like you have to kill them. So it's like, it's a cool different game if you're looking to just get a little frustration out. So I thought it was really well done. So if I'm gonna not guess, but if I'm gonna say like which one was the most unique out of this year for an indie developer, I'd say Carry On is like one of those really cool ones.
Yeah, like I've seen sort of like a wee bit of footage of it and stuff, and it was really like, it looked really fucking good, like really cool, like the art style and everything. I was like, plus it's like you are the monster finally. So, as you said, like it's not often you get to play the bad guy or the monster or whatever in your games. So it was a really, really cool, unique thing this year.
Yeah, and it's also one of those games that you can do timed runs on. You could do all that kind of stuff. You can do the stuff that like speedrunners like to do. So, not that it's been utilized in that way, but you could.
Yeah.
People have really utilized Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 for speed runs and like no damage runs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bloodborne the same way, like, but that's more of like a Souls-like game. That's one thing that is unique to that style, is that there is that competitive, like, how fast can we do this? You know, like, I know you've done insanely difficult runs on Evil Within, right? Like the most difficult you could get?
I didn't do the most difficult because by then I'd already played the game like 3 times and I was just like, I'm not even going to fucking play this again because it'll just get frustrating because I already know what's coming up and stuff. Undead did that. She's been playing it again. Like, she played it on the hard and then unlocked Nightmare, streamed that, and now she's unlocked an even harder mode and she's playing that again in her own time. I'm like, you're crazy. Why would you put yourself through that fucking pain and suffering? And like, you know what I mean? It's nuts. But I kind of get it.
I just watched someone do I watched someone do a no damage run on Resident Evil 2 like 4 times. They restarted it 4 times on stream. Like, completed the game once with 1 hit. Like, that's a fail run still. Like, that's insane. Like, I am not a skilled gamer like that.
No, I'm not.
I can't do it.
So frustrated doing that, man. No chance. Like,
it's you know, Resident Evil 2.
Mm. Like, it's good in that.
Getting to the last boss and then getting swiped.
I would punch fuck out my PC. I would throw it out the window. Just be like, fuck this. I'm done.
It takes very special people to do that. Like, and I also give them all the credit in the world when they do it. Like, It's not an easy feat to go through a whole game without getting hit once. Like, that's just intense.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, man. Did you say what your worst game of the year was?
Worst game of this year. Let me see one that I played an extended time on, because I don't want to say Cranarium, because I played that, or Canarium, or however it's called. Let's see. It's like, whenever you do this, you're like, I don't even remember what games I've played. You know what I mean? I'd say Transient, which is also a Lovecraftian game. That one was like supposed to be pretty good.
Shit, man. I've just bought that as well.
And you could definitely give your opinion on it once you're, or like, I didn't even make it all the way through. I was just like, I am so tired of this game. But you could have a different opinion. Oh, I know another one, actually. Sorry, I know a worse game than that. I want to say Remothered Tormented Fathers. Remothered Tormented Fathers is it's an Italian-made game, and they just came out with a sequel this year, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say that's in like I've seen some news about that coming out. So it's bad, aye.
Yeah, it from the animation to the story to the gameplay, it's just barely okay. You know what I mean? It's I couldn't even play it all the way through. Like, a lot of these games like that I'm just turned off to right away, I can't finish. Like, it's definitely hard. Like, I've completed a lot of games this year. I've completed Silver Chains, Rise of Insanity, Unforgiving, and Northern Hymn, like a ton of indie developed titles. And like, for example, like Unforgiving and Northern Hymn, like, it doesn't have a lot of crazy advanced like textures on like characters and like environment and stuff like that. And it's actually not even in English. They didn't even translate it to English. It's all in Swedish, I believe, or not Swedish, but some like Norwegian or some sort of Norse language. But they did in Absolov, which is supposedly the sequel to Unforgiving, and both games were out of this world, like really cool, like really interesting, had some cool like stuff that I didn't know about Norse mythology, and like they kind of twisted it and melded it in, which is unique in its own way. So yeah, there's definitely games taking risks.
I think I think I watched a couple of streams you playing those ones. It was pretty cool, like, because it used like the old rune symbols and stuff, didn't it? It was like, but they were totally different as well, because the first one was kind of like out in the wild, and then the other one was more kind of futuristic and stuff.
Yeah, so the first one is set like they just kind of drop you in, like as horror games do. Yeah. You like crash a vehicle and you're like wandering the forest. But then you get kind of like tied into this weird like dreamy, like Norse like storyline where you're like wandering the forest for runes and like a harp to play certain runes to open passageways, stuff like that. Whereas like Absolov, you're kind of like in this corporate like archaeological-esque dig area, like research lab that you're trying to escape because you're like it's like this weird time period where the gods have like infiltrated Earth and like they're trying to like research their technology, and it's a cool like it's like two sides of the coin but the same universe.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I've seen that there's been a game that we are quite interested in, the Medium. There's been like a 14-minute gameplay reveal thing, trailer, but I've not watched it yet. I seen it today, like on the news today, but I haven't watched it yet. But it's all like, yeah, it's just
so
pure gameplay.
I've heard people say that it's probably the closest thing for a while that we're going to get to a Silent Hill-esque game, or it's the closest thing that we'll be playing to that level. And it's an awesome dev that we both like, that I like a lot. Bloober team, like Bloober's done like Layers of Fear, it's done Observer, and they just came out with Observer Redux, which is like, or System Redux, which is like a total rework of the game. So I may play that at some point.
Right.
I know you played Blair Witch and you didn't like that one as much. But, like, I know you played some worse titles since then. So do you feel like you can give it a different review now that you've experienced some other titles?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I want to play Blair Witch again, because I feel like when I played it, it was really kind of buggy, and one of like the main features is the dog, where you can get the dog to go and try and search for scents, and like you get to use that, which is very unique. I've never seen that in a game, like a horror game, before. And at the time it was super buggy, like the dog just didn't fucking work. It wouldn't do the things that were trying to get it to do, and it was just like, fuck me, this is like trying to teach a real life dog how to do shit, and you've never had a dog before. It was terrible. But I watched Rachel play it during our October Screamathon thing, I think, and it looked good. It looked like it changed and updated, so I would probably play that one again.
I haven't played Blair Witch yet. It's one of those things that I'm holding on to. But I did play the other titles like Observer and both Layers of Fear. I will definitely play Blair Witch at some point. I'm kind of holding on to two games. I'm holding on to Outlast 2, Blair Witch, and what else was the other one that I'm holding on to?
I'm not even going to tell you about Outlast 2, because maybe you won't want to play it after that.
Yeah, I've been kind of apprehensive because I did see some gameplay, and I'm like, they're similar style games. So like Outlast 2 and Blair Witch are kind of set in the same, not in the same universe obviously, but they're both like foresty, like weird. But what's your largest complaint on Outlast 2?
It's totally different from Outlast 1. Like, see if you go into this thinking, oh, this is like Outlast 2, it's going to be like the first one but even better sort of thing. It's like a totally different game. It doesn't have the same like vibe either, and it's like there's much more like story to it and stuff, like, because like the first one is just like you're in a mental asylum and there's loads of mental people and you're just trying to get out of there pretty much, whereas with this one there's like cult stuff going on, and like you're looking for somebody else as well, so it has more of a story. But it's just like it's like before you said something about a game, it's like you see everybody, you see the enemies before they see you, so it doesn't have like a jump scare thing to it like Outlast 1 did, where you would go into a room or open a door and there would be somebody fucking hanging there, or somebody would jump out that was like Outlast 1 was super jump scary. You were unsure of what's behind the door, whereas this one is just out in the open. You see everything, and you spend most of your time trying to run away and hide, but you're not really scared whilst you're doing it. It's just like, oh shit, here's somebody else has found me, let's run. And like, I played it on a harder kind of mode, so I think they had a bigger proximity to like see you, but it was like instant. As soon as you go anywhere close, as soon as you got in the line of sight, if you're really far away, they seen you, they chased you, and it was like, for fuck's sake, sets back. It was like one step forward, 2 steps back. It was just, I don't know. It looked good.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't. It didn't have the same vibe as the first one.
The thing I noticed about Outlast 1, and it kind of speaks to what you're talking about, is the fact that you would walk into a cell or into a grouping of cells, and you wouldn't know who would attack you.
Aye.
Because they're all kind of like, you're like, one guy's laying on the bed, like holding his face, like rolling around, and you don't know, like, is he gonna get up? Is he gonna come attack me? Or like, you're like, oh, that guy's just walking around, and then you walk up to him and he like hits you over the head with a club. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know what's gonna happen. Like, it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, the
and
first
I think that's
one
probably
was
something that's missing in Outlast 2.
Yep, exactly. Because it's like Outlast 2, everybody's out to get you. There's no just like random characters just walking around or in the house. Everybody there is against you, and so it's like it's made a puzzle game, like a puzzle strategy, because you're trying to, like, I have to go this way around the house. Then you die for there. You're like, right, okay, so I need to go this way. Then I need to go that way. You know what I mean? You have to plan out your route and all that. It's just, it wasn't for me. Like, I know some people loved it, so obviously like, you might try it and you might really love it as well. But I think it was just because I had that mentality going in, thinking this is like Outlast 1, but better. It was just totally different.
Yeah, especially if you're thinking that it's going to be, well, it's definitely hard to top Outlast. It's such a milestone. It's like one of those, which kind of brings up the topic, like, what do you think about Outlast Trials? What you've seen so far? Do you think it even looks promising? Do you think it could be the new multiplayer that we're looking for in the horror genre?
I'm really kind of conflicted about this one, because I need to know more about it, because right now for me it's just Dead by Daylight. It's just they've went, oh look, Dead by Daylight's really popular, co-op things are getting really popular, Phasmophobia, whatever, Dead by Daylight, let's try it, let's do it. And it just looks like the exact same thing as Dead by Daylight, except from the enemy might be AI instead of someone actually controlling it. And it's just kind of like,
see, that's,
I don't know.
That'd be interesting, is if you could be the enemy on the other side as well.
Yeah, like
that would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Like the artwork and the style of it is good. Like I like the Outlast style of the crazies, rather than it just being like zombies again. It's actual kind of a unique character and stuff. But again, it's like, it's just another one of these games. It's like, we've not really talked about this yet. I don't know if you had planned to talk about it, but Back 4 Blood. Like, I'm just like, it's just another Left 4 Dead. Like, exactly.
Or
like,
Killing Floor.
Or like Killing Floor, because I think me and you watched the live stream, didn't we, of Back 4 Blood, and I was like, to start with, I was like, oh, this looks cool, and I'm like, this just looks like Left 4 Dead, and then there's like the boss guys, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but then it's just, I don't know, we need something new, man. We need something new.
We do need some uniqueness. I mean, there is Deceit, which is kind of like, it's kind of a unique take, but Back 4 Blood, it does feel like a COD Zombies or Killing Floor or any, Left 4 Dead, which it is a Left 4 Dead dev, but you would think that they'd take their resources and do something a little bit more unique than what they're coming out with. Yes, it has its unique aspects and is different, but I think there's definitely some things that they could have changed even more in Back 4 Blood. Like, but we'll see. I mean, there's still a while left before it comes out.
Aye, like we've only seen a wee bit of it, and now there could be a lot more But it's like, even like the game that I usually play, like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, it's like the shooter game I play that like when I want to get away from horror on my own time, I play it for shooting. And like they've got a new thing coming out this year called Quarantine or something, I think it's called, and it's like COD Zombies. It's just they're taking the characters for the shooting game and they're adding that zombie thing into it and making it multiplayer, and it's just like, we don't need that. There's so many other games out there that are doing that specifically. Stop just adding a fucking zombies mod into your game. Call of Duty's been doing it for fucking years. Killing Floor and Left 4 Dead came out years and years ago. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just cynical.
Yeah, it's just copy and paste at this point, and I think that's what we're trying to say. Like don't copy and paste the same game and reskin it and put in some new guns and call it a new game.
Definitely.
And we're getting kind of fed up with that. But again, it's something that happens in the indie development area also, like with like all these PT remakes. That's we're gonna run dry of this type of content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or it's gonna run stale, I should say. It's not gonna be as like, it's cool to see indie developers come in and just knock them out. Like, you're getting new ones in October, November, December, all throughout the year. But it's all a bit like, it's all the same game. I think I bought a game that they're like, this is exactly like Locked Up. Like, you don't need, like, it's a copy and paste Locked Up. Like, you don't need to play this if you played that.
It's like a lot of the same developers are using the same engine as well. So it's like all the thing, the chairs, the barrels, the rooms, the walls, the paintings. Like, how many times have we seen that fucking rabbit doll in different games? It's the same fucking thing. Even the bad guy from like, what was the one you played recently? God's Basement. That with the kind of crazy lady that's in it. She is also in the game that I played, which was like Sweet 776, I think. It's like, at least fucking kind of switch up the things that you're going to use, or try and skin them a bit differently. You know what I mean?
At least Phasmophobia has that right, because they all use the same engine. It's the Unity engine with some like resource. There's another resource hub that they use, but I mean, Locked Up uses the same one as Phasmophobia. Like, it's all a Unity engine, so it's like, it's good that it's there, but each one of these developers needs to have their own individual touch, or like get someone else in there to like make little changes and not be, or at least another thing that I was thinking of, even with Cyberpunk, is like, see what's out there, play the game, like, you'll know these things. Like, I don't know how they didn't play test Cyberpunk, and it's going to go into around about Cyberpunk because you got to say it. Like, if we're talking about games that are coming out this year, like developers taking time to make these, that game took 8 years to come out, like, to release. Like, you're going to tell me that they didn't play this and say, like, they're like, oh, a guy, simulating someone on the cross, like just walking around across the street, like, is normal? Like, that's not normal. Like, you can't release that. Yeah, man. Like, it's crazy that and it could be a number of things. It could be like they don't have budgets, or like they just want to release it and get the money in and call it a day, work on a new project, stuff like that. There's so much into game development that it's hard to say like what the exact reason is. But there's also, there's been some great things to come out this year that, is kind of like, there's not a lot of light shed on that. But I think we did give Visage and Resident Evil a lot of praise. But it's really hard to say that it's a bright future for horror. But there are some good things, like that new one with the developer from Dead Space, the lead designer from Dead Space is going to this other project. I can't remember what it's called. I'm gonna remember it later.
There's like I seen something that was like the creator or the developer from Dishonored and Prey, which is a kind of horror game. They're making a new thing as well, which could be kind of good, because it's like Prey was kind of unique, and with the enemy sort of thing, being like a creature that can change shape or take hold of something. So like there's kind of hope, and these kind of big developers are going and making new studios or partnering with other people, so they could make something unique and new.
Well, speaking of that, there is other releases like the Sons of the Forest, which I think we've talked about in the Discord.
Yep.
Where it's like, that's something that could really be expanded. Like, games like that, where they have like the construction concept, like the base building, the multiplayer co-op, doing something like that and adding in enemies like as the game is out and you can release it into the world, you know what I mean? Like there's stuff like that where they can make replayability and co-op multiplayer stuff in it. Like I do like the building aspect. Like I've been kind of like leaning into that part lately because I've been playing so much like solo stuff. Like having a game like The Forest is really, really cool and really different.
Yeah, The Forest's been recommended to me like so many times to play, and it's one of the ones that's like I do really want to play it, but I think it would be so much better to play with people, like as you say, because it's like it's good that you can do all these things, but sometimes it's if you had people it'd be more fun. It'd still be scary, and you get to experience it with other people as well. It's like there's a lot of these games.
There's
7 Days to Die. Like I've not played that, but I've watched a lot of it, and it's like when you watch people, like a group of people playing it, it's really fucking fun. It's really cool. But to just watch one player play it, and it's not so cool. So I think because of the Sons of Forest coming out, a lot more people will buy it and want to play it, and I think it'll be a big fucking hit this year.
Yeah, because I don't want to say that like Dead by Daylight is stale in any means, because they're doing all kinds of content changes and adding things into it, but it's one of those things where like you see a Dead by Daylight stream and you're kind of like, do I want to watch another Dead by Daylight stream?
Aye.
Like,
that was a big fucking
Like,
problem with our Christmas streamathon, man. It was like we got so many people to do the streamathon, and then everybody fucking played Dead by Daylight, and it was like there's only so much you can watch.
To be
man.
fair, it speaks to how much Dead by Daylight connects with people, because it's a great game. Like even though like you could take like jabs at it here and there, but like to be fair, it's really fun at times and really cool, and like you could have friends or you could play alone. Like it's pretty cool in that way. But a lot of people play it, and it's hard to say that I love watching Dead by Daylight streams all the time, but it's like, I guess it's the same as Call of Duty. I don't enjoy watching Call of Duty streams. I'll play it. Like I'll play Dead by Daylight. It's fun to play, but it's screen time is getting. It's too much.
I'm gonna say, man, like when I first started streaming, like Dead by Daylight was one of the games that I played and I streamed all the time, and I just got so bored of it so fast, and then I stopped. And then like this month, I started playing it again, but I started playing as Killer, and I'm fucking addicted to it. But I don't stream it because I'm like, I just can't stream it. Like, who's gonna watch me stream it to start with? And then it's like, I can't stream and concentrate on the game as well. It's one of the ones. It's like you have to be focused on it. It's like one of the reasons I don't like stream my shooting games and stuff as well, because it's like I have to be fucking focused in. I can't be chit chatting and looking away and looking back and like that. So it's just
Yeah, it's one of those unique things that like you definitely know like who the top of the top pros are. Like especially when it comes to like FPS games, like they can do both. Like Dr. Disrespect is insane because he can like he can mess around with chat and then like go and do insanely well on Call of Duty. But it's like there are definitely people out there that can do that, but I'm not one of them either. Like I get hyper focused on Hunt Showdown and Dead by Daylight. Like the multiplayer games give me the most trouble as far as interaction and stuff like that. Which is a tell. Like there's like at least with the game like State of Decay or The Forest or seven Days to Die, like you have a little downtime to be like, I'm not gonna get shot or I'm not gonna miss
Aye.
Someone
Aye.
like
There's a lot of time where you're going to have to be grinding and farming for resources, and that's the time where you can sit and chit chat. You can bring up subjects, or you know what I mean. You can interact with people. But with they kind of games, it's just focus all the time. I think Doctor Disrespect is the only person I watch that like playing shooting games and stuff like that, because he's such a good character as well. Like it's insane the amount of people that watch him and like just.
it's definitely a multi-talent to be like engaging and play a character at the same time as just wreck people.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Like it's on another level. Like it's insane. But it's definitely something to practice and get better at. I don't know if I'd do it in Dead by Daylight, but I'll probably do it in Hunt Showdown because it is kind of like you do have a lot of downtime in that game. Not camping per se, but you're just like you're trying to make it to point A to point B without you're covering a lot of ground. So there's some time to like relax ish.
I've seen like you playing Hunt Showdown on stream stuff, and like it is good to watch. I think because it's like you get the moments when you have to be intense and you're focusing on the boss and stuff, and it's like really good artwork and that. But then like as you say, you're trying to get to A B, like you find your first like location part of the map, and then you're moving there, so you still get to interact. So like that game, I feel like is one that I do like watching you stream. But there's just some ones that are just you just kind of watch it over and over again. Know what I mean?
It's one of those games too where like I could jump in a quick play and not have a team and still like have a good time at it.
Yeah.
Like there's some and it's crazy because and I think this might segue into like just talking about like horror streaming in general. Like it's a tough genre to stream because you're talking like we already talked about basically the content that people would go to. It's hard to like expand out of those games because like it's kind of a limited genre. Like you have like all the single players and then you have very few multiplayers, very few that people want to watch. So it's like it's another thing too about just growing this year and start like I think I'm gonna be in my 8th or 9th month of streaming, which is crazy to think about. And I've pretty much like steamrolled through a bunch of games that I didn't think I'd play. And the kind of like motivation that started like that, the reason why I started was because I just wanted to get back into gaming in general. Yeah. And I kind of opened my first test stream with BioShock, and I was like, well, my name's Undead, and I do love horror as a genre, so I might as well make this a thing.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of like the easy mindset I had about it. And I had no communities like lined up behind me. I started basically from zero, but I've been on Steam for like 14 years. Like I've been on Steam a long time. I've played Counter-Strike 1.6. I played Counter-Strike Source on Steam, like I've had the same account like since those days.
But you have been Undead for like all that time?
Well, I've had some name changes, but yes, I've been Undead for like more than 10 years. So it's like it's crazy. Like trying to transition from old school gaming, from Source gaming to like learning about Discord, learning about Twitch. Like essentially I started like 9 months ago, like learning all this stuff, like about like trying to get involved with communities, like trying to get people to play with. Not that I didn't have people to play with, but it was like it's like friends that are like have lives and stuff like that are like have different times that they play at and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I got a very specific time frame that I could play games in. So it's been a good journey, especially having a lot You would think that the horror genre would be like not willing to accept people, but it's kind of like we accept people with open arms because it's like you're just like you're the oddballs.
Yeah.
Like everybody, come in. We want to enjoy this together, kind of thing, which has been really cool. It's been a really awesome experience.
Yeah, like I think for myself, like, I don't know about you, but like when I first kind of started it as well, when I was like, right, I'm going to do horror, I was kind of worried about like, well, what if nobody wants to watch horror, or like, what if I play a few games and then I'm like, no, I can't deal with horror anymore. It gets too much or too intense and stuff. But it just seemed to have gotten better over time for me, and I'm like, there's been points where like some of my friends that I play like other like non-horror games with, they're like, oh, stream this and we'll play it with you when you're streaming stuff. I'm like, I don't want to. I just want this to be horror. Like I love getting away from the normal world and playing horror shit at night time and getting super spooked. And like I couldn't have done it without the stream either, because I've mentioned this before, but like before the sort of pandemic and lockdown and stuff, it was like me and Ryan are the only two like horror like people in my sort of friend groups, and so he would just come over to the cabin and play horror games, and I would just watch him. I'd just sit there and like have a drink and watch him play the games, because I was always too scared to. So like streaming is like a way to teach me how to actually handle horror now. Like looking back, and I'm like, there's no way I would have been able to play like games like Visage or fucking Outlast or anything like that. I was totally scared, and now I'm like, fucking game me scarier. Like I'm fucking ready for it, man. So, and I've met so many great people like yourself. Like, what world would me and you, or like Indy, Riva, like Buena, Rachel, where would we have met if it wasn't for horror streaming? Know what I mean? It's like such a weird but fantastic fucking community.
Yeah, it's weird. You get so many personalities and from like other backgrounds. Like I think it's definitely the most international, like different forms of life. Like everybody from everywhere kind of like puts their 2 cents in on horror, and it's been really cool. I don't think I could have picked a better genre to start streaming, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be stuck if I was like a variety streamer. Not that I don't have stuff that I like to play other than that. I've actually been playing Satisfactory, which is like
Aye.
it's like this weird like space building game, like resource collecting game. So it's like I couldn't do that. Well, I guess I could do that on stream and it would be fine, but I don't think I would have had the community like that this is. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like, or you could be gaming in COD and like it's almost got too much diversity where you're like, I'm just gonna be forgotten about. You know what I mean? Like there's so many COD players that it's like you might as well be shouting in the streets, you know?
Like I guess.
Like I think I wanted to find this genre to find friends.
I think it's really difficult for people who are starting out streaming and they go for Call of Duty or something like that. It's just like it's like if you look at the biggest names on like Twitch or YouTube or whatever, they're playing Call of Duty and stuff like that, and they're there because they're so fucking good at it. And it's like for just a random person to start playing it on stream, it's like unfortunately nobody's just going to watch that. You know what I mean? So I think finding something like horror and finding like even like if you play like Resident Evil, you're probably going to get a lot of views because people like watching stuff, big games like Resident Evil, or they like watching people get scared on Outlast. But even like if we just play a wee indie game that nobody's ever heard of, people will still come and watch it because people just want to see horror. They don't care about what the horror game is. They just want to see somebody shit their pants, screaming. They want to see grown ass fucking men like us turn into fucking babies or screaming little girls. I mean,
Yeah, and that was the draw the first time I went live was the fact that I'm like I was actually really terrified to start streaming in general, just being live on camera.
yeah,
And then B, just the fact that like I started with like Outlast, where it was like one of the scariest games you could start with. Like
yeah,
just go like straight to the main one.
yep,
And I was terrified of that game. I jumped like 8 times in one stream. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like clips on clips.
Was there ever
So-
a time where like you were streaming something really scary, but there was nobody watching you, and you're just like, this is even more terrifying because, like, so for like me, I was playing Resident Evil right at the very start when I first started streaming, and there's a boss battle in Resident Evil 7, and it was terrifying, and I had 0 viewers, nobody was talking or nothing, and I was sweating. I was terrified because I couldn't just pause and then sit and talk to somebody, look at chat. I just had to keep playing it, and I destroyed the boss, and then people started coming in, and I'm like, fucking hell, I needed you here like fucking 10 minutes ago when I was shitting my fucking pants, man. Have you ever had this sort of like, moments like that?
I've definitely had plenty of moments like that where it's even okay. It might say that there's people in there, but like, and lurkers are valuable, but not when you're scared and you want to like say like, hey, like, talk to me, like someone talk to me. Yeah, there's been plenty of times like it could have even been the Dark Occult where it was just like a stagnant night and no one was talking. I was just trying to figure out the puzzles and I would just get fucked up by that chick, just like that crazy banshee, just like, you know what I mean? Like, in a lot of the starting streams of horror, I had to do like a little, like not even a little buzzed. I had to be like actively drinking. I had to be like actively drinking to get like, I mean, you can see it in my videos, like some of my clips, I'm like plastered. You know what I mean? Like I've since changed that, and that's like changed the dynamic 100%. Like it's changed it a lot. So I'm, you know, really feeling every scare 100% of the time now, and it's better. It's like at the end of the night, like being able to remember the stream is way better than going like 6 hours and finishing Resident Evil 7 and not even remembering how I got there. Like
I was going to say that, man.
That
like,
was bad.
there was so many games that I completed, and people are like, how was that game? I'm like, I don't fucking remember it, man. I was fucking absolute steaming. Just fucking... But it's kind of good at the time, especially like if you're playing with friends or something as well. Like a lot of the Dead by Daylight streams I did back in the day, I was fucked. I just had so much to drink, and it was fun at the time, but I woke up the next morning and I'm like, I have to delete that video because I fucking either say some stupid shit or I'm just half sleeping in the fucking video. I'm sure. I remember there was a time where you fucking you just left the stream on and just went away, and it was just like, what the fuck's Undead? The stream went on for like fucking 6 hours.
Dude, that's happened that one time, and then another time it like I did start falling asleep. And I'm like, I have to go. I have to leave right now. Like I'm gonna fall asleep. And Twitch doesn't like that. Twitch hates that.
Yeah, like if we were bigger streamers, we would be fucking banned, man. Like, it was good that nobody else was watching these streams, man. But I think it is like a good thing
because you got to learn your mistakes.
We learned the mistakes the hard way, really fast, really early on, and we know now there's a time and a place for fucking getting really drunk. You know what I mean? If you're on somebody else's stream, maybe playing a game where they can't see you or hear you as much, then fine, have a drink. But when you're the fucking front man of the band and you're fucking just messing around, half sleeping, it's maybe not the time.
Yeah, if you're, it's definitely frowned upon now, and it's like you don't even know, because you're like, you come in like streaming and you're like, oh, people might want to like watch me be like completely hammered, but it's kind of like this other vibe too, where you're like, it becomes your identity and people know you as the guy that gets hammered on stream, and like that's not what either of us want. Even though we could put down some drinks, you know, like I've been so much better at that, like where I'm like, I'll have 1 or 2 beers and then I'm gonna chill. Like I want it on stream, you know, like soften the nerves a little bit, but not like I need to be plastered to enjoy this game.
Yeah, exactly, man.
So yeah, it's been a fun journey. It's been awesome.
I was still thinking about the time you just fucking left the stream and it was just like, what the fuck's happened? Where the fuck is he? Oh,
Luckily, I muted the mic. I put up
Uh,
the ending soon, but I mean, stream did not end soon. Like,
I wanted to ask you like what one more sort of thing, uh, about VR because I don't have the VR headset or nothing. It's one of the things I really want to do, but I've got so much other stuff that I need to like pay for and like deal with first. But you've got the VR headset. Like how much different and how much would you say it's like better, or do you just say it's much more terrifying playing VR?
so there's a couple things to it. Um, the first thing is that it's tiring and cumbersome when it comes to like it depends on how you have it set up. Like if you have like the full like cable management thing going on, you have a good space, like it's perfect. But you still get tired. Like if I'm doing a 3 hour run, like of a game, it's gonna be like I'm gonna need a moment to sit down and chill for a little bit, you know. So
Yeah.
there's some like intense physicality to it. Um, Another thing is that it's definitely scary being immersed 100% into a horror game.
Yep.
So I played this game called I think it's called VR Experience. It's not like a full game. It's just like a taste,
Right.
and it kind of goes along the line of this. It's kind of got like its own like Norse like horror vibe. You start the game outside of it's like a haunted house. So like you walk in and like everything feels so real that like opening the door, everything from opening the door to like looking down the hallway, everything is changing in like dark. It's super cool, and you feel all of that. And like the type of headset I have, which is the Valve Index, it has like awesome sound, and it's like right by your ears. So like you feel like okay, like Phasmophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played that plenty in VR,
Yep.
and like that moment that you walk into a house, or like if you have the AC going, and like you feel like freezing temperatures, it will feel that way in the game. Like it's completely immersive. Like the type of controllers I have they're the Valve Index ones, the one that come with it, and it allows your fingers to like move individually. So
Right.
like it's I mean, when you grab something, it actually feels like you're holding it. It's like it's very immersive. So like for the horror genre, it's like it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's so scary. It's I wish that they had the VR version for Resident Evil 7 on PC, and they don't. Um, I I I would have played Resident Evil 7 in VR if I could. It would have been so scary.
That's like the one game that I'd love to play in VR if I ever had, because I kind of already know it, so I wouldn't be too scared about it. But when the moments come where fucking Papa is chasing after you and you're trying to do different puzzles and stuff, I would imagine it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like willingly walking into that morgue section, or like willingly walk into like it's so difficult to
Mm.
like walk into a dark place on your own. Like that cobbled VR experience, like one point you're like in a cave, and like walking through caves and like looking over rocks and stuff like in the dark, like trying to navigate your way through, like, and to be brave while doing it because you actually have to walk. It's like it's such a different thing than just looking at a screen and just
Aye,
pressing the forward key.
aye.
So it's like a new level.
I've got like the sort of one that you can just put your phone in and then you just look around, and even that is fucking so terrifying for me. Like there's ones where it's just like an experience where you just sit still and you look around and some things change in the room, or like you'll be in a bed and you'll look that way and then you'll turn around and there'll be somebody like right there next to you, and it's terrifying. So I couldn't imagine actually playing a full fucking horror game where you have to actually physically move and that. Like that's so terrifying for me.
Yeah, even Phasmophobia, when you get like if you get anything crawling or anything coming after you, it's like and like you hear the whisper in your ear, it feels like it's like they're in your ear. Like
Aye.
it feels like they're right behind you. Like it's freaky. It's so freaky. Like I kind of started the tutorial in VR,
Right.
and even playing the tutorial in VR is so scary. Like it's so dark and so
Yeah.
crazy.
It's insane, man.
So yeah, if someone asks like, um, is it worth it? It's definitely an investment, but it's worth it if you get it set up. If you get it set up correctly and you have like the energy to do it,
Hmm.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think it would maybe be better for like YouTube because you can actually just take breaks when you need to take breaks, and it's like, you know what I mean? Because like if you try to stream for like fucking 4 hours straight, then you must be like fucking sweating, man.
Yeah, I've done it on stream a couple times. Like I've done a couple of VR streams, and it's so hard to like balance chat at the same time that you're sweating your ass off from
Aye.
like physically moving, and then like I have lights on me, so like it's even crazier. Like the whole idea of VR streaming is such like it's such an it. I like to say it this way: it's like a novelty because in reality, no one really wants to watch you play VR because like it's so like motion sicknessy.
Aye.
Like people don't really want to watch that. They do want to see your reactions though.
Aye, I think it's more
So
for like people who want to see the reaction of like a full body physical scare, but like with it,
mhm.
it's like slow motion sickness feeling. It is quite weird.
Yeah, I would say I'll probably compile like a few games into one like clip video of like VR
Aye.
playthroughs.
There's
Because yeah, it's not ideal live, not an ideal live thing.
yeah, there's a VR mod for Alien Isolation.
Oh really?
Yes, I just thought
That
I'd
would be
put that out in the ether there, in case you thought about trying it. I know
the
you
good
love
thing
the Alien.
about yeah, the good thing about Alien Isolation is that I haven't even looked like I played it early on into streaming, like probably like the second or third month,
Mm-hmm.
and I never completed it. I just put it away. Not
Uh,
that I didn't like it, I liked it, but it was like if I were to play it now in VR, I think I'd get 100% of like the real
yep.
feel of it. So I am excited for that. I'll probably look into that.
Yeah. It's quite because it's weird because it's like a lot of times you have to like hide in the vents and stuff like that, and then you can you peek out the vents and see if the alien is out there. I think that would be terrifying because you would feel like you're actually hiding in this vent or whatever, and you're like, fuck, where is it? Where is it? Looking up and you can hear it running around you. I think that would be fucking terrifying.
Uh, yeah, it'd be awesome. I
Mm.
I am all for it. I'm probably gonna look into that and see if I can get a video of that.
Yeah. There's a new State of Decay coming out. State of Decay 3.
Yeah, I did see that in the Microsoft release when they were talking about. I think they were talking about that in conjunction to Halo. Like they released a couple of things,
Mm-hmm.
and there was Hello Neighbor 2 and well, I don't think Little Nightmares was on there, but it was Hello Neighbor 2 and State of Decay 3 were like some of the horror titles, and I think they looked into the Medium, but I think that's like my number one anticipated game of 2021 right now is the Medium. So I hope it's good. I hope Bluebird did it justice.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So
Man.
I guess we'll see.
Plus, it's probably the most expensive horror game I've seen on the Steam store. It's like fucking $50 or $60, man, which is quite unusual for a horror game.
Yeah, especially well, I think that's the thing with Bluebird Team too is that they typically price their games way. I mean, they are pretty expensive. Even the Observer System Redux, like for US, it was like because they would give you a credit if you own the original version. So I paid like 20 something dollars for a game I already had, but that was improved. So I don't know if that was the wisest choice, but
Mm-hmm.
I did want to try it.
Yeah,
So
but I think it will be good, man. I think that'll be probably one of the big breakout games of 2021. Like, this will be like the Resident Evil 7 of this year, sort of thing.
See, what I predict what's going to happen with Bloober after this release, this is like their state of being. So this is like that outcry to other major AAAs to like see if they want to acquire that studio.
Right.
So we'll see if that even happens, because if they get absorbed by someone, we're going to be like hurting for some good horror game or like horror developers.
I seem like this. They said that they're trying to do like more storytelling than action for it. So I don't know if that is going to be a good thing or a bad thing. But
I remember that title that I was trying to remember earlier was the Callisto Project.
Aye.
The Callisto Project is done by one of the original designers for Dead Space. Right. And honestly, he's got a good grip of what horror fans want. Because Dead Space 1, I don't know if you played it, right? You played Dead Space 1 or not yet?
I've played I don't remember, I think it was Dead Space 1 or 2, but I played them back at like when they were out in like PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 2. It's a long time ago.
But they were some of the most intense titles that you could get back then, probably for those consoles.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant guy. He kind of understands like he understands gaming. That's why I think Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 were so good. And he didn't even work on Dead Space 3. So that kind of shows, like, Dead Space 3 kind of fell off. So I think he was the common factor to make that franchise what it is.
Yeah.
So seeing that Callisto Project, or the Callisto Project, is coming out, obviously we haven't seen gameplay yet, but I want to say it's probably our next gen Dead Space.
Yeah, aye, because it was just a cinematic trailer that's out for it, eh? Or like a teaser sort of thing. But even that looked fucking so good, man.
They're getting crazy with these cinematic trailers, especially like if they have people backing the project. Like, these things get so crazy. I think that's why Cyberpunk even got way overhyped, is because they put a lot of money into advertising. It just the hype was so insane.
The fucking
that I think
Keanu Reeves and all that as well. It was like, holy shit, man! This could be crazy, man.
Yeah, so I hope the Callisto Project doesn't like live in that realm, and I would hope, because the developer from Dead Space is so like, he was so like prolific in like trying to move the genre forward, like with the dismemberment portion. Like, that was the big driving factor of Dead Space, was like, you have a gun that could literally sever limbs off, and like you have monsters crawling around like still alive and stuff like that. So like, I'm hopeful that there's some mechanics in that game that drive the genre forward.
It'll be fucking so gory, like, because like the new consoles and stuff can run like 4K, and well, they can run like up to 8K. So it's like, you imagine like the kind of gore and stuff that was in the past ones, and imagine what it's going to be like now. It's going to be fucking so fucking good to look at. I think that sounds a wee bit fucking weird and psychopathic, or whatever the word is, but you know what I mean. It'll be so fucking cool to look at.
I mean, I think it speaks to like our appreciation for like practical effects. Like, you love it in old horror films, and I do as well. So like, seeing that kind of realized in gaming would be, I mean, it's obviously it's not practical effects, but if you can get it good enough to where it looks real, that's what, you know, the name of the game is like, how believable can it be, you know. And the other thing was like, the last thing we have that was made to kind of like have gore on that level was Resident Evil 7. Like, that scene, the chainsaw battle with the dad, was like, that was so brutal.
That was
It
fantastic.
was like the most metal thing ever.
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite. That was like my favorite fight of that game was like that chainsaw scene. Like it was total like Fight Club, like just random. It was kind of cool.
It's good, man. It's because it's kind of funny as well, but it's just insane, man. It's like I love when they do that in films as well, when they have like weird ass, insane, crazy battles like with fucking chainsaws and stuff.
Yeah, my cat's going insane in the background. She's like chasing it. She's chasing something. You'll see her run around a couple times. Anyway, yeah. I mean, there was a couple weird things about Resident Evil has one thing right, and that's boss battles. You can't give them enough compliments on the boss battles. Like, there have been some games where I'm like, oh, that's it. Like, again, Cyberpunk 2077, their boss battles are not anywhere close to what like Resident Evil did. Like for their boss battles. Like, I know it's two different genres and two different like styles of game, but I mean, a boss battle is one like you enter in a room, boom, it begins. You have that giant health bar, or like obviously in Resident Evil you don't have a health bar like for the enemy, but it's like it's such an art to create a good boss battle.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Especially in the horror genre, because like you're talking like I think there was a couple in like Absolov, and I think there was one in Absolov. You had to fight Loki, which was pretty fucking cool too.
Yeah, man.
So.
But yeah, that's one of the things that Evil Within did really good, was the boss battles. Like, especially in the very first game. Because it was like, you're spending the whole game wasting all your bullets and your resources and stuff on like little, like just normal zombies. And then it's like, bam, now it's time for a boss battle. Use what you've got fucking left and hope for the best. And it's not like it doesn't just take 2 minutes to defeat it if you've got really good weapons. There's a process to each one, and it's like you have to do this till it goes into this stage, and then you have to do something else and it goes into this stage. And it's really good when they do that in games, and they didn't just like throw in like, well, here's a big zombie, but if you've got a really good shotgun, you can destroy it in 2 hits. So that's not really a boss.
Yeah, no. But I've noticed that, like, I guess the only example I have for bad boss battles is Cyberpunk, because it's like you just have mantis blades and you just melt them down. Like, you don't need anything special. When it comes to like Resident Evil or like Evil Within, you have certain like ways to like navigate that fight. You have certain like weakness points, you have certain like obstacles that you need to get through. Like, I'd say Evil Within is one of the hardest games you could play. Like, seriously, like, it's difficult. But yeah, they definitely got boss battles right in that game.
Yep. I think this year will be good, especially because the new consoles are out, which opens up a whole new world as well. I think like by October we'll see a big influx of fucking insane games, man.
Yeah, I think it'll be slow for releases up till probably summertime. It'll probably be pretty slow. Like, we got the Medium coming out, and that's pretty much it until maybe June, July, August. So I think we'll really see. I think we'll get like trickles from like indie developers, but we'll see what they got. Hopefully, it's not more like PT inspired.
I think
games.
we can.
Not that I don't like.
It's just as we said earlier, it's just kind of it's getting the same all the time now. And like with Phasmophobia, like with them winning like some awards, the Game Awards, and because it got real popular, I fear that there's going to be more games like that coming out at the start of this year, because they're going to try and jump on that kind of hype train for those type of games. But then as the year goes on, I feel like some big hitters will start to come out.
Yeah, because Hello Neighbor too. I mean, Hello Neighbor's got its own multiplayer. I don't know how. I've never played it. I don't know what that would be like, but
I played it when it
I'm
first.
hoping.
I played it like the alpha or the beta for it, and it's kind of good, but it's just one of the ones where it's like, you played it once, you've played it a fucking million times.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's one of those games that I still haven't like dove into 100%. So I'll check that out eventually.
Yeah. Man, I've got like fucking 5 hours of footage that I'm gonna have to fucking edit, man.
Yeah, I feel bad that you have to go through this much footage, but I guess the one thing I would say is, or well, a couple things. First thing is thank you for inviting me to do this because I've always wanted to be part of this podcast and be part of a podcast in general, or YouTube video, whatever it's called.
Aye, like
I also want to thank you for like even just. I mean, you reached out to me like the very first time on Twitch, and I think I've said this to you before, but this is like on the record, is that I don't think that I'd be anywhere close to this type of level on streaming or streaming in general if you didn't reach out, and I wouldn't have had like this type of community without that. So, like, I appreciate that very much.
I think like I did reach out to you, but I feel like the both of us just like, as soon as we got together and started doing stuff together, we both just had this similar idea in mind, and we just outreached it and met so many other people and bounced ideas off each other and games off each other, and it made like what we've got to now. Know what I mean? It was like, the reason I reached out to you was because like when I first started getting followers and started out, it was just random people with random names and stuff, and it was just like, hey, whatever. And then it was you, Undead, that followed me or something, or wrote in one of my streams. I'm like, that's a fucking cool name, Undead. I'm going to check this guy out. And then I seen that you also streamed and stuff, and I was like, this dude is on my level, man. He plays the same games as me and stuff. He looks cool, man. He's like my fucking American version and stuff. So I was like, I need to reach out to this dude. He's like the same followers as me. We got to do something together. And then obviously like found out what time you actually stream and stuff. I'm like, fuck, we can't play anything together, we can't do anything together, man. But at least we can talk to each other and bounce ideas off and stuff. And so I'm really like, you followed me first, so I'm glad. Like, this is what streaming's all about, man. It's finding a community, finding people that enjoy the same kind of stuff, and it's been fantastic. It's like you've now become one of my like friends for life, and I've never even met you. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely, it's one of those things where like you, and this kind of goes into, because obviously I'm taking a break right now, but it goes back into those like initial points to, what do you do this for? Do you do this for fun? And you should be only doing it for fun. You shouldn't do this for money. You shouldn't do it for anything like that, because it's not built. It's not conducive. It doesn't make sense. Like you shouldn't be. Well, I'm mostly speaking to myself. Is that you shouldn't be hard on yourself for fucking just doing what you love to do. And like, you could always work harder and better. Whatever the case is. So it's awesome that that you invited me to do this, and I appreciate it very much.
You've been like, when I first started doing this, I was like, I really want Undead on, just so we can talk about games, man. And like, before we even started this, I was like, we didn't have to do it for long, it can just be for a wee bit. And we've just been going on and on for fucking hours, man, and it's fantastic, because we're very similar, like, we like the same stuff, and that's what's good about finding somebody like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, there's very few people that I'm like, oh, I need to get them on, or I want to get them on. But you were like the main guy that I wanted to get on and talk about horror games. And like, we can do this anytime. Like, even if we did this like every year, at the end of the year we just go like let's round up fucking this year. What games did we play? What games are coming out? If we play like a really good game, like if the medium comes out and we both love it, we just do a fucking episode on the medium. Stuff like that, man. I'd love to have you back on again.
I'd love to review like footage and like clips or like whatever. Like that stuff is like, completely. I'm down for that.
We've had some other ideas before about some stuff, and some of the ideas we talked about before, I'm still happy to do, like the clips and looking at some of the like our favourite moments of the games. It would be like I was going to do that for this one, but because we've already got so much fucking footage, I'm like, I don't know how long this is going to last, man. Honestly, I can make about fucking 3 episodes out of this now.
Probably like part 1, 2, and 3.
Aye, but I think we definitely like we get a big list of our clips and we just sit and watch our clips together. That would be fucking so funny.
That would be awesome.
Just watch as we get more and more sober as the year goes on. Because we're just like really fucking drunk at the start of the year, the early clips.
That's exactly how it's going to be. That's exactly... Definitely.
This is where I fucked up. And this is where I knew I had to stop and calm down. And this is where we fucking got sober.
See, like, even like death clips, like if there's like a weird death or like funny, like, there's no limit, you know what I mean? Like, there's been so many games where I've been like died and like I remember in the Dark Occult like making it into that save room and then twice getting ripped out of it by the being. It's like it's supposed to be a safe room. Like, how do I get taken out twice?
You had such an unlucky run with that game because I think you stopped playing it because you got stuck downstairs and that big dude was chasing you as well. I never even seen that dude. I totally...
What?
I didn't even see him. Like, I went past... Well, I seen him once. I walked around behind him, went upstairs, and then that was it. Because you were like, oh, dude, this part is so hard. You're going to struggle with this. I just walked past it. I think you just had a really bad run, man.
There's... And that's another thing to talk about, too. Like, in these clips is, like, there's glitchy moments or, like, moments that, like, I might have find difficult and you found easy. Like, I have a couple stories of games where like not no one, but it's been very limited, like where people get that outcome and it's like there's so much of that. So
well, perhaps in a future episode we can bring all this to life and see some funny moments, some scary moments, see where we really had heart attacks and stuff. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate it very much. I ken it's a bad sort of time. Well, we're on different time zones and stuff, so it's always going to be difficult to try and find it. So I appreciate you coming on my time, and the next episode that we do together, I'll get on in your time. Make it even.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Right. Thanks very much again. Thanks for watching. Peace.
All right.